Minecraft. One of the best-selling video games of all time. A game so influential that it spawned an entire genre of buildy, crafty survival games. Now, being the contrarian that I am, when thinking about this topic I couldn't help but wonder if the genesis of a genre with crafting as a core mechanic, a game with crafting in its very name, was actually designed with crafting as a central and unavoidable mechanic. Or, put more directly, is it possible to beat Minecraft without crafting? Now, before we get into the rules, we are faced with a decision that we haven't had to seriously consider before. What version of Minecraft are we going to be playing? This is a game that has been ported to nearly every device even remotely relevant during its time. Xbox One, PlayStation 3, Wii U, Android tablet, new 3DS, iPhone, Windows PC, Linux, PS Vita, Samsung smart refrigerator, and that's not even all of them. On top of that, some of those platforms can easily access multiple versions of the game released on that platform. So, in light of all of that, and seeing as no matter what version I pick, it'll probably be obsolete within a year or so anyways, I'm just going to go with whatever version I believe will give us the best chance of success. Ultimately, I went for Minecraft version 1.8.9 Java Edition on Windows PC. Now for the actual rules, and really there's only one. We are not allowed to use any crafting grids. That means we can't use crafting tables or the 2x2 crafting grid in our inventory. Everything else, should we acquire the requisite devices without crafting, is permittable. So things like smelting, enchanting, trading, anviling, etc. are allowed. The only non-crafting action that is forbidden are cheats, because if we could just type in /give literally anything we want, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the challenge. Our goal is to defeat the Ender Dragon without resorting to crafting even once. So, let's get started. Our first step in this challenge is generating our ideal world. The settings I went for were world type default, allow cheats off, and importantly, generate structures on and bonus chest on. I didn't type in a specific seed, but the one I ended up getting should be in the description. If you want to try out this challenge facing the exact world I did, there you go. Craftless log, day 0. I woke today in a coastal plains. Beside me was a chest surrounded by 4 torches. Immediately I investigated it. The contents within consisted of several logs, a few wooden planks, a single stick, and a wooden pickaxe. I took all of the items within the chest as well as the chest itself and the torches surrounding it. With my newly acquired equipment in hand, I proceeded to do the only logical thing: beat several sheep to death with a stick. In the course of my sheep slaughtering, I came across an odd depression in the ground and began to excavate it. Within this cobblestone structure or dungeon, I found a chest containing numerous items, the most important among them being 3 buckets. With these buckets, I'll be able to exercise control over the fluids of this world. This will be essential later on. This dungeon also contains a zombie spawner. This device creates zombies in the immediate vicinity of itself whenever it is both dark and I'm near it. I do not yet have all of the components I need to take advantage of this spawner, but have marked its location so that I may return to it once I have acquired the requisite items. Not long after my excavation concluded for the day, the sun began to set. For some reason I fear the dark of this world, so I quickly fashioned myself a small shack made of sand and wool. This will be my home for the foreseeable future. Craftless log day 1. Last night I puzzled over what to do with the zombie spawner. I feel the distinct impression that in another life I would have created a contraption based on flowing water and sides that would allow me to easily harvest the flesh of the undead. Unfortunately, it's impossible to acquire signs in this world when you are, like I, unable to craft. I've come to the conclusion that I may be able to find a suitable replacement for signs should I find a settlement, and so that is what I decided to do today. I ventured out in search of a village. At day's end, I found one. I'm currently writing from the hospitality of one of the homes in this village after they took me in while I was fleeing for my life from a horde of monsters. Crafter's Log Day 2. As much as I appreciate these villagers' hospitality, ultimately my survival comes first. As such today, though I'm not proud of it, I stole some of their crops, ladders, fences, torches, and even furnaces. I even stole a chest containing an iron sword and pickaxe from their blacksmith. I then swiftly left the village before my crimes were discovered. On my way back home, night fell, so I dug into the side of a hill with a considerable chicken population surrounding it. My hope is that on the morrow I will be able to obtain some eggs from these chickens. Crafter's Log Day 3. Today was mostly filled with the journey from the chicken hole back home. I did manage to get some eggs in the morning, and then had just enough time to start a small chicken farm over my shack before retiring for the night. Crafter's Log Day 4. Today I started construction on the zombie farm I had envisioned. I believe that the ladders from the village should be a decent enough replacement for the signs I would have otherwise used. Today was mostly about excavating more space, but progress has been made, and this project will be what I dedicate most of my time to for at least the next few days. Crafter's Log Day 7. The zombie farm is finished. It still could use some refinement. For example, the ladder's hitboxes are making baby zombies clog up the system a bit, as well as trapping some rotten flesh. So I'll keep working on improving it. But today marks the day it became functional. Soon I'll have piles of rotten flesh at my disposal, which I'll do something with, hopefully. Crafter's Log Day 85. A while back, I perfected my zombie farm, utilizing cacti to unclog baby zombies from the system, and additional water flows to get items off of the ladder's hitbox. I also added a roof to and have been tending to my chicken farm. At this point, I have stacks upon stacks of rotten flesh and over 100 chickens in my farm. Tomorrow I intend to once again venture out into the world, this time to find a use for all of this rotten flesh that I've acquired. I also wouldn't mind finding a dungeon with a skeleton spawner which would allow me to get infinite arrows. Crafter's Log Day 86. I found a new village today, and in this village lived a cleric, who was willing to exchange my rotten flesh for emeralds at a bit over a 30-to-1 ratio. Apparently all clerics across the world offer a similar deal. It looks like there is indeed demand for the rotten flesh my zombie farm produces. Clerics are also willing to sell Eyes of Ender in exchange for emeralds. Buying up at least a dozen such eyes is going to be my next priority. Crafter's Log Day 89. My exploration for the last couple of days has not yielded the discovery of another dungeon, though I did come across a mine shaft which had a lot of spiders, but not much else, as well as a couple of villages which had more clerics dwelling within them. I also tamed some wolves who should hopefully help me preserve the durability of my sword. Crafter's Log Day 178. My days recently have been totally dedicated to the production and trading of rotten flesh. I'd tend to my zombie farm, then carry as much flesh as I could to a cleric willing to trade with me, and exchange all that flesh for Eyes of Ender, then return home and repeat. The exchange rate is really quite miserable, and the whole process is quite tedious. But I've finally gathered together enough Eyes of Ender to finally track down the stronghold and end portal. Unfortunately, to complete the portal, I'll need a few more Eyes of Ender. I'll also want to trade for some equipment like arrows and armor before going to the end, but for now, things are looking promising. Crafter's Log Day 204. I've acquired all the Eyes of Ender I need to go to the end. There's only one more major thing I still lack. Arrows. I never did find a skeleton spawner, so I've decided that I'll just buy arrows from a Fletcher instead. Unfortunately, they all seem to be dead. You see, I made sure to protect the clerics from the zombie apocalypse by building them bunkers to hide in, but I forgot to do the same for any Fletchers, and as a result, there doesn't seem to be a living Fletcher in any of the villages I've discovered. At this rate, I'm going to have to leave the continent to find one. Craftless Log Day 213. After well over a week of searching, after crossing an entire ocean, after coming across village after village without a Fletcher, about 1,500 blocks away from home, I finally found a Fletcher. And I bought stacks upon stacks of arrows from him. I also bought a bow, and I even found some iron armor in the local blacksmith's chest. This is the last piece of the puzzle. It's time to go to the end. Craftless Log Day 217. Here we are, all geared up and ready to face the dragon. This is all the equipment I was able to put together without crafting. It's certainly not high-level gear, but let's hope it's enough. Upon entering the end, I used my one ender pearl, which I had acquired by killing an enderman earlier, to reach the main island. The next step is taking out the crystals, which can be done using the bow and arrow I purchased from the Fletcher. Throughout this process, my armor from the blacksmith's chests does a fine enough job at protecting me, while my buckets of water taken from the dungeon which became my home keep the occasional angered enderman at bay. With most of the crystals destroyed, it's time to slay the dragon. My bow isn't anything special, no enchantments or anything. Nevertheless, with crystals gone, each bit of health removed from the dragon is progress. And after a 10-minute long duel, no crystals, no enchantments, no potions, no gimmicks. Just me versus dragon. Mano a mano. The dragon falls. With just the stepping into one last portal. The credits roll and seal that it is possible to beat Minecraft without crafting. And thus concludes our journey today. And quite an interesting one at that. Minecraft being a game all about freedom and giving the player the tools to do most anything they desire, certainly becomes a different beast when you limit yourself this harshly. But let me be clear, it was a good challenge that I enjoyed, so if you like this video and challenge as much as I did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, etc. I'm always looking for feedback about these videos and ideas for future challenges, so keep them coming. And on that note, this is not the first one of these videos I've done, so if you like these sorts of videos, be sure to check out the other ones I've done. In the meantime, though, I've been CMeeCraft, and I had to get to work on the next one of these lunatic challenges. Goodbye.